Hi, I'm Chef Mo, and this video is brought to you by Sweets Southern Style No Sugar Added Bakery. You can visit us online at www.sweetsnsabakery.com. Today I'm going to show you a delicious no sugar added dish. This dish is great for those of you who are looking for something that has low calories and low carbs. This dish is called Poached Pears. What you'll need for this is a nice glass dish, nice and big to hold your pears. You'll also need a knife, a peeler, a channel zester, a whisk, a strainer, a medium-sized sauce pot. You'll also need a bowl for your poaching liquid when you make your sauce. You'll need 4 cups of granulated sugar substitute. You'll also need some spices. So you'll need about a teaspoon of cinnamon, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice, 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger, and then you'll also need about 2 tablespoons of non-sugar brown sugar, and then a little bit of rum extract if you'd like to add that to your sauce. So what we'll do first is go ahead and peel the pears. I have red pears and boss pears, and then we'll also have 2 oranges that we'll put in for a little extra flavoring for your pears. So I start by using my peeler, and I like this type of peeler for your pears because it comes off a little easier and it makes your pears look a lot cleaner. So you'll want to start by the stem and then go all the way down to the end. So if you watch, you can see that I'm going from the top to the bottom, and it gives you a nice look to your pears because you are serving these whole, and you'll want them to look pretty when they go into the dish. And that's your pear. And you'll set that into your dish. And we also have an orange. And so what I like to do with the orange is use my channel zester. Now there are other types of zesters that you can use. You can also use a microplane. When you use a microplane, those are more for when you want something to look more grated. I like to use the orange zest as a garnish to the dish. So I use my channel zester so that I get a better looking garnish for my dish. So what I'm going to do is actually zest this over my dish so I get a lot of those essential oils that come off of the orange rind as well. So you can just see here, I take my channel zester and I do the same thing from top to bottom. And you let all those oils get right into your dish. And that way, you get a lot of the flavors from the orange. And you're just going to go all the way around until you get all of the zest. And then we give it just a little bit of a roll to kind of release the juices inside of the orange. And you'll cut that in half. And you squeeze that juice into your glass dish. And then you're going to just leave the orange in there as well, because that's going to poach with your pears. So after you've gotten all of your pears peeled and your oranges and your orange zest and all the juice all in your glass dish, you can go ahead and start on your simple syrup. So you probably already know that a simple syrup is equal parts sugar and equal parts water. So I have 4 cups of our sugar substitute, and I'm going to put that into our medium sauce pot. And then I'm going to go over to the stove, and I'm going to turn it on, and we want this to boil. So I'm going to add my 4 cups of water. And then you just go right into your medium sauce pot. And then you let that come to a boil. With a sugar substitute, you're not going to get as thick of a syrup as you would with regular granulated sugar, but it doesn't really matter that much for this dish because you're going to go ahead and make a sauce with it afterwards anyway, and you're going to add a little bit of cornstarch to it. Okay, so while your simple syrup is cooking, you can go ahead and start adding your spices. And so what you'll add is your teaspoon of cinnamon and you can just kind of spread that over the top. Your 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, your 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, and your 1/8 teaspoon of ginger. And then we also have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And of course, this is sugar-free brown sugar made from a sugar substitute and molasses. And you can pick that up at any grocery store. And you'll just give this a quick little mix, but we'll mix it in much better once the simple syrup gets finished cooking. So you'll want to make sure that your oven is already preheated at 350 degrees. And now that our simple syrup is at a boil, I'll go ahead and add that to our pan. And this is such an easy dish to make. It's very inexpensive, and it smells great while it's cooking. So you just want to give this a little stir and make sure that you have your elements all mixed up together, and make sure that you don't have any spices just coating any of your pears or anything like that. You want to make sure that everything's really mixed in really well. If your dish is a little shallow like mine, you might need to baste your pears about halfway through. These are going to be in the oven for about an hour, and what you'll want to do is touch the pears and see if your fingerprint stays. If they stay, then they're ready to go. You want to cook them until they're soft. So that's going to be about an hour for this size of pear. So what you'll want to do now is cover it and put it in the oven for an hour, and then give it a check, and if your fingerprint stays, then it'll be ready to come out. Okay, so it's been about an hour, and I just took the pears out of the oven. They've been nice and tightly wrapped with foil. And now I will open this up, and it smells delicious. So you'll just take the foil off. Be very careful because your plate is very hot, your liquid is very hot. So make sure that you unwrap it carefully. And now I'm just going to test it to make sure that the pears are soft enough. And like I said, you'll press it and it'll leave your fingerprint. And as you can probably see, it's leaving the fingerprint, so these are done. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of the liquid, and we're going to make a sauce. And the sauce is going to go on the plate and go on top of the pears. So just carefully drain some of the liquid into a bowl. And then you'll want to strain the liquid into your saucepan. You just want to get some of that zest out, any of the orange seeds or any of the orange pulp. You don't want any of that to get into your sauce. So you strain that. And that was about half of the liquid. And then you'll take your saucepan, you'll go over to your stove, and you're going to turn your sauce on high. It won't take very long for this to come to a boil because it's already hot. And while that's heating up, you'll want to cover your pears back up just to keep them moist. Now that we have got our sauce boiling, we'll go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of water to 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and get that whipped together. And make sure your water is cold. And we're going to add this to our sauce to thicken it up. And make sure that you whisk the cornstarch into the sauce as it's boiling. And you'll let this boil for about a minute. And you'll see it thicken up immediately. If you make it too thick, don't worry. Add a little bit of your poaching liquid to it to thin it out a bit. So now I'm going to add a little bit of rum extract. This is a pretty strong flavor, so you really only need a couple of drops. And you'll just put that right into your liquid and whisk it in until it's well incorporated. And then once can take it off. And now you have your sauce. So after the sauce is made, you can take your pears out of your pan and put them on a plate. I suggest 1 to 2 pears per person as your serving size. And you can pour the sauce on and around the pears. And then if you like, you can add a little bit of whipped cream and then use your orange zest as your garnish on the plate. So it really comes out really nicely. And again, this is a very low cost, easy, low calorie, and no sugar and low carb dessert that you can have at any time of the year. And with these seasonings and flavors, it's great for the winter time. It'll keep you warm and your family will be nice and healthy with their desserts. So thanks again for joining us, and please remember to visit www.sweetsnsabakery.com. We've got a variety of muffins for you, and also be sure to look out on our blog for more recipes, videos, and tips. Have a great day.